From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode on excellence. This is the final episode in a series of 7 that I've done on one of my books called Achieve, Maximizing Your Potential with 7 Keys to Unlock Success and Significance. And last but not least is excellence. You know, I had to include this as one of the keys that helps us unlock success in life, regardless of what that is to us or how we define it. Because excellence is what allows us to stand out as above average. You know, no one gets excited about average. No one gets excited about average. We get excited about excellence. We get excited about someone who goes above and beyond, or someone who strives valiantly, who puts in the effort. We admire that and we respect it. Aristotle said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And excellence really has to become a habit because it has to be a habit for us to do more than is expected, sooner than it's expected, to give more than is expected. One of our friends, one of Mac and I totally said that wrong. One of my friends, Amir, Mac and I are friends with Amir and his family. And I loved one of the quotes that Amir has in a blog I read of his recently. He says, if you would like a 6-figure business, you have to provide 7-figure service. Now, isn't that awesome? Are we providing 7-figure service? Are we going above and beyond? Are we being excellent? You know, whether if that's in our job at work, are we going above and beyond what we have to do at work? Or, you know, maybe it's just at home. Are we being excellent at home? Do we carry ourselves as people who have a reputation of excellence? You know, don't ever settle for average when you can do better, because what we do becomes who we are. And if we settle for mediocre in anything, that becomes the habit. And when it comes to excellence, we must take the responsibility. Excellence is far and above and beyond average. And average is relative. You know, there's nothing wrong with average. It's just where we are at the moment. It's relative to where we are at the moment. Average is relative to, compared to what you're capable of. And none of us are living up to our potential. So to be excellent in something, we must take responsibility for giving more and doing more and being more, not because we're competing with other people, but because we are competing to be better than the person we were yesterday. Years ago, I was working, I'd started in a new role in an organization, and up until that point in my career, most of my work expectations had been to get results very quickly. And excellence was not one of those things that was really valued in a production type environment, or in an environment where speed was more critical than excellence. And so I had kind of gotten out of the habit of excellence in my standard of work. And so I was fairly new in my role there in a new organization. And my boss just asked me to put together some departmental projects on an Excel spreadsheet. So I typed up something really quickly and I sent it to her in an email. And in a few minutes, I get an email back from her and she said, well, this is good, but now let's work on making it very pretty and presentable and formatted. And so I was like, oh, well, okay. Because really up until that point, I'd been kind of in the habit of just putting some stuff together and throwing it together and rushing through it. And so I thought, well, okay. So I sat down and, added some fields and some colored tables and some lines and kind of did a little bit of formatting and played around with it. And so finally, right before lunch, I sent it off to her and I said, okay, I'm satisfied with that. I kind of added some formatting and a few different colors of tables. And so I went to lunch. And when I got back from lunch, I had another email from my boss. Let's talk, it said. And I thought, that's probably not a job well done talk that's coming. So later on that afternoon, she asked me to stay and talk about the Excel spreadsheet. And I really didn't know what she was going to say, but I knew something wasn't right. And she handed me a printed out version of the spreadsheet. And she asked me what it looked like. And then slowly and with great kindness, she wasn't hard on me, but she was being hard on the issue. She showed me the typos and the misspelled words, and I really just completely overlooked things like that in my rush to get the project done. And she talked about how important it was to make sure my work reflected the quality that I stood for. And I will never forget what she said. She said, once you put your name on something like this, it's done. For years and years to come, someone else is going to be looking at this and it will have your name on it. And what they see will determine what they think about you and your work ethic. And wow, that hit me like a truck. I'd never really thought about how important it was to be excellent in the little details. I'd never really realized that my work was a reflection of my character. And poor quality when I'm capable of doing more just meant that I didn't take the time or the effort, or that I didn't care enough to do more, if I'm capable of doing more. Now, it's a lesson I've never forgotten. When we do something big or small, how we do it really shows whether we are committed to excellence. Linda Kaplan Thaler wrote a book called The Power of Small. And ironically, of course, it's a small book, but in there she talked about sometimes the little things make such a big difference. And she talked about little things like proofreading an email one more time before you hit send. And I don't know how many times now in my career, even now with clients, if I stop and review my emails one more time before I hit send, how many times I've caught a little mistake. But those little mistakes can be a reflection on us when we're capable of more. Now, it doesn't mean we're perfect. None of us are, and we're not going to be perfect. But excellence means taking the time and energy to do something right, to do it better than average, just because it's who we are as a person. We have a commitment to excellence. Now, what else is a commitment to excellence means shining instead of whining. Whenever things are going on in our life, we always have the choice. And we talked about this a lot in the episode on attitude. We always have a choice to whine and complain, or we have a chance to shine and stand out. And when you have a commitment to excellence, you are determined to work for that excellence. You realize that a commitment to excellence makes you more valuable because it's easy to stand out when you aren't willing to settle for average, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's at school. A lot of times in life when opportunities present themselves, they look like challenges to those who are not prepared. And those who are prepared and those who are committed to excellence don't see a challenge. They see the opportunity. They see the opportunity to shine and stand out and strive instead of whining and complaining. And that's a powerful thing because that allows us to shine. Mac always says, shiny objects get noticed and so do shiny people. When you're excellent, you do shine because you've got that reputation of excellence. William Forster said, quality is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, and skillful execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. It's about striving for more instead of settling for less. And the last thing about excellence means giving an extra inch. Many years ago, I saw Rourke Denver. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he was speaking at a LeaderCast event. And he said to everyone in the audience, he said, raise your hand, both of your hands up as high as you can. And so, almost everyone in the audience stuck both of their hands up in the air high. And then he says, raise your hands 1 inch higher. And what was so interesting was that everyone in the audience was able to reach a little bit higher. and you could noticeably see the hands in the audience reach up a little bit higher. And then Rourke Denver says, please, just give me 1 more inch more. Can you strive and reach 1 inch higher? And almost every single person in the audience sat up a little straighter and had a little taller reach in their body and just a little inch more in their hands. And then he pointed out, he said, you know what? I asked you to reach as high as you could the first time. And then a second time, asked you to reach higher. And then a third time, I asked you to reach higher yet again. And every time you did. He said, most of us hold on to a little bit of a reserve. And after we do as much as we think we can, a lot of times we can do more. We've got to be able to learn to tap into that capacity before we're asked to do so. And doing so will help you establish excellence in everything you do. So, it's been a powerful lesson to me over the years. Take the time to showcase and polish and proofread every area of your life, not just some areas. But, a lot of times the little details are what take you from mediocre to excellent. It's something I learned even in the restaurant business, working through the years in different restaurants. And one of the things when I worked at a steakhouse, one of the things they taught us is that as servers, when we went back to get the food, if the plate didn't look pretty, we needed to replate the food, which means get a clean plate and transfer the food to the new plate. So, for instance, if someone ordered a steak and then the steak had oozed a little bit sitting on the plate and then there was juice running around, you don't want that to seep over into the mashed potatoes. So as servers, we were always encouraged to, grab a clean plate and make it look pretty, because the presentation often affected the customer's perception of the quality of the meal. And, there again, it comes down to the little details that really do take us from mediocre to excellent and from average to exceptional. I mentioned Linda Kaplan-Thaler's in her book, The Power of Small, and one of her quotes says, our smallest actions and gestures often have outsized impact on our biggest goals. Going that extra inch, whether it's with a client, a customer, a family member, or a friend, speaks volumes to others about our talent, our personality, and our motivation. After all, she says, if we can't take care of the small details, how can we be counted on to deliver what matters? With people, and I say this a lot, but with people, the little things are the big things. Going the extra inch will take you the extra mile in life, in leadership, at work, at home, and in relationships, and it will help you maximize your potential. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.